The motorcade exploded into motion. Sirens screamed as black armored vehicles surged through the capital streets, tires biting into asphalt. Inside the lead car, President Elias Monroe gripped the armrest, steady, composed, completely unaware that the man smiling beside him was already rehearsing his death. "Sir, we're rerouting," the head of security said sharply. Elias nodded. "Do what you need to do." Vice President Adrian Cross leaned closer, voice calm, reassuring. "Just a precaution, Mr. President. Intelligence can be dramatic." Elias smiled faintly. "Better dramatic than careless." Adrian smiled back. Inside his chest, his heart hammered, not with fear, but anticipation. This was supposed to be the night everything changed. Hours earlier, Adrian had stood alone in his office, staring at the city lights. His phone buzzed. "It's confirmed," a voice whispered. "The president will attend the Unity Forum tomorrow. Limited security, just like you wanted." Adrian exhaled slowly. "Good. No mistakes." "There's one concern," the voice hesitated. "If this goes wrong—" "It won't," Adrian cut in. "History doesn't remember hesitation." He ended the call and straightened his tie, practicing the face he would wear when the news broke. Shock, grief, resolve. President Elias Monroe would die as a symbol of unity. Adrian Cross would rise as the nation's savior. Back in the present, the motorcade slowed as it reached the palace gates. Elias stepped out, cameras flashing instantly. Adrian followed, placing a supportive hand on the president's back. "You handled that well," he murmured. Elias chuckled. "After 20 years in politics, fear loses its charm." If only you knew, Adrian thought. Inside the palace, advisors gathered around a long table, maps, folders, tablets everywhere. Elias took his seat. "Let's begin," he said. As the meeting unfolded, Adrian watched him closely. The president laughed easily, trusted easily, too easily. Later, Elias pulled Adrian aside. "Walk with me." They moved down a quiet corridor. "You've been distant lately," Elias said gently. "Everything all right?" Adrian forced a smile. "Just the weight of the job." "You're more than a vice president to me," Elias said. "You're a brother." The words hit harder than expected. For half a second, doubt flickered across Adrian's face. Then it vanished. The next morning, the capital buzzed with excitement. Crowds gathered, flags waved. The Unity Forum was meant to be symbolic. No heavy barricades, no intimidating security. Exactly what Adrian needed. "You're sure about this?" Elias's chief of staff, Miriam Cole, asked quietly as she watched the crowd. "I trust my people," Elias replied. Miriam didn't answer. She had spent the entire night reviewing reports that didn't sit right. Schedules altered, intelligence rerouted, orders signed digitally by Adrian's office. She leaned toward a security officer. "Quietly monitor the vice president's communications. Don't alert anyone." The officer hesitated. "Do it," she whispered. On stage, Elias waved to the crowd. Applause thundered. Adrian stood a few steps behind him, eyes scanning, not for threats, but for timing. 30 seconds, his earpiece crackled. His pulse quickened. Then his phone vibrated. Unknown message. "Abort." "Now." Adrian's smile stiffened. "What?" he whispered. The crowd roared louder as Elias raised his hands. Adrian glanced toward the side of the stage and froze. Security was shifting. Too fast, too coordinated. Miriam was speaking urgently into her radio, eyes locked on him. Adrian's breath caught. Something was wrong. Suddenly, guards surrounded him. "Vice President Cross," one said firmly. "Please come with us." Adrian laughed. "Is this a joke?" Elias turned, confused. "What's going on?" Miriam stepped forward. Mr. President, we need you to step away. Adrian's voice rose. Elias, tell them to stand down. Elias looked between them, his expression darkening. Miriam, she met his eyes. We intercepted communications, altered intelligence. He was planning an attack on you. The crowd began to murmur. Adrian's world tilted. You don't understand, he snapped. This was for the country. Elias stared at him, hurt cutting deeper than anger. You would have killed me? Adrian opened his mouth. No words came. Guards seized him. As he was dragged away, Adrian screamed, You're weak! They'll tear this country apart without me. Elias didn't respond. If you're still watching right now, pause for a moment, because this is where power always reveals its true price. And if stories like this pull you in, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because the next part changes everything. Adrian sat alone in a holding room, hours later, hands shaking, suit wrinkled, confidence evaporated. They set me up, he muttered. A guard leaned in. Funny thing about plots, he said quietly. They don't stay secret. Adrian swallowed hard. For the first time, fear crept in, because he wasn't afraid of prison. He was afraid of what comes next. Adrian Cross did not sleep. The holding cell was cold, quiet except for the ticking of a clock somewhere beyond the walls. Every second felt loud, heavy, final. He paced, rubbing his wrists where the cuffs had been. They'll understand, he whispered to himself. They have to. The door opened. Miriam Cole stepped in, her expression unreadable. You destroyed everything, Adrian said bitterly. You think Elias will survive without me? Miriam folded her arms. You're not here to debate policy. Adrian laughed hollowly. Then why are you here? To tell you the truth, she replied. Your aide talked. He gave us everything. Names, messages, the timeline. Adrian's legs weakened. He wouldn't. He did, Miriam said, and he cried while doing it. Silence swallowed the room. Adrian sank onto the bench, staring at his hands. I was going to fix things, he muttered. I was going to save this country. Miriam's voice softened just slightly. You weren't trying to save the country. You were trying to own it. Later that night, President Elias Monroe stood alone in his office, staring at the city he had nearly lost his life defending. They're transferring him tomorrow, a security advisor said quietly. Maximum facility. Elias nodded slowly. You don't have to see him again, the advisor added. Elias shook his head. I trusted him. I owe myself closure. The next morning, Adrian was escorted into a secure transport vehicle, hands cuffed, eyes hollow. He looked nothing like the confident man who once commanded rooms. As the convoy moved, rain began to fall. The road ahead narrowed. Adrian glanced out the window. Where are we? No one answered. The vehicle slowed abruptly. What's happening? Adrian demanded. A sudden impact rocked the convoy. Tires screeched. Shouts erupted. One vehicle spun off the road. Gunfire cracked the air. Adrian screamed, ducking instinctively. The door burst open. A masked figure grabbed him, dragging him out into the rain-soaked chaos. Wait, Adrian shouted. I'm valuable. I know things. The figure shoved him to his knees. You knew too much, a voice said coldly. Adrian's breath came in sharp gasps. Who sent you? He pleaded. The man leaned close. Power cleans up its own mess. A single shot rang out. By the time authorities arrived, Adrian Cross was dead. The official report called it an ambush by unknown extremists, a tragic consequence of political instability. But those inside the system knew the truth. That night, Elias watched the news in silence as Adrian's face filled the screen. Vice President Adrian Cross has died during a transfer following yesterday's shocking revelations. Miriam stood nearby. I'm sorry, she said. Elias closed his eyes. I didn't want him dead. But you knew it was possible, Miriam replied gently. Elias didn't deny it. Days later, Elias addressed the nation. Betrayal does not begin with violence, he said calmly. It begins with ambition unchecked by conscience. Let this be a reminder. Power without loyalty destroys itself. The cameras cut. Elias removed a framed photograph from the wall. Two men, younger, smiling, dreaming of changing the world together. He placed it face down in a drawer. Somewhere else, Adrian's grave sat unmarked. No flags, no honor, no legacy, just silence. If you've made it to the end, ask yourself this. Was the vice president killed by enemies, or by the very game he chose to play? If this story kept you glued, like this video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you think betrayal ever truly wins, or does it always come with a price? Because in politics, power doesn't forgive, it remembers.